So let's say that I wanted to evaluate the integral of 5 times x to the negative third power dx. How would I do this? So in order to do this, I would still need the reverse power rule. So the reverse power rule. And in case you forgot, the reverse power rule is as follows. The integral of x to the n dx is equal to x to the n plus 1 over n plus 1. So given that, let's try to evaluate this. Remember that the constants can be pushed outside and inside of the integral. We have that flexibility with integrals. So we can just push that 5 outside and take the integral of x to the negative 3 dx. So now we can use the reverse power rule. This is going to equal 5 times x to the negative 3 plus 1 over negative 3 plus 1. What is x to the negative 3 plus 1? Well, that's going to equal 5 times x to the negative 2 over negative 3 plus 1, negative 2. So we can rewrite this as a negative 5 by 2 times x to the negative 2, which can be rewritten as negative 5 by 2 times 1 over x squared, which can be rewritten as negative 5 by 2x squared. And that's your answer. So I just showed you all these steps just to make sure that you know how these negative exponents work. Sometimes they can be tricky. So let's do one more example. So let's say that I had, instead of 5x to the negative third, say that I had 3 times 1 over, or let's actually rewrite this as 3 over x to the third power. So how would I do this? So the integral of 3 over x to the third power dx. So believe it or not, I would still use the reverse power rule. So this would equal the integral of 3 times x to the negative third power dx. Remember those exponents, they can get confusing. When you have them in the denominator and they're positive, when you bring them to the numerator, they become negative, and vice versa. So if you have them in the numerator and they are negative, and you bring them down, they would become positive. So that's essentially how those exponents work. So now this looks a little bit more familiar, right? We did this in the previous example. So this would equal, we can take that 3 out, that's a constant, multiply that by the integral of x to the negative 3 dx. So this we can use the reverse power rule. That would become 3 times x to the negative 3 plus 1. And I need that parentheses to be a little bit bigger, over negative 3 plus 1. So this would equal 3 times x to the negative 2 over negative 2, which is equal to 3 or negative 3 by 2 times 1 over x squared. I just kind of skipped a step because I don't have a lot of space, but essentially what I did was I took that x to the negative 2, and let me write that here. X to the negative 2 equals 1 over x squared, and I multiplied. I'm multiplying here. So then this becomes negative 3 by 2x squared. And that is your answer. So I hope you found this video helpful. Hopefully you understood how to use the reverse power rule on exponents that could be a little tricky sometimes.